Good afternoon, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Google+. This is Rich again, back for your second video blog of the day for Thursday, August 11th, 2016, around 5:18 in the afternoon in Billerica, Massachusetts. It's hot out right now. Some places reach 99 degrees. That's a great ones number. And a famous franchise restaurant in New England. But it's so humid out. Hopefully you're drinking a lot of water and in an air conditioner or in the pool or the beach. Please check up on the elderly and do not leave your pets in your car or truck or vehicle for any length of period of time during this heat wave. Some news to report. Colorado Avalanche head coach Patrick Roy quit because Roy and Colorado Avalanche front office staff had some disagreements on how the team's directions going to go for 2016-2017. That was a bummer because Roy is a great coach. I bet the next coaching gig he gets is being the head coach of Habs. Also, it's Happy National Daughters Day, and LeBron James is going to sign a new contract with the Cleveland Cavaliers. That was the worst kept secret in all of the NBA. And that's about it on the news. My second video blog subject of the day is about professional wrestling outlaw territories and independent promotion. They go hand in hand together. When pro wrestling was regional territories back for many years, the major ones were affiliated with either the NWA, the WWF, or the AWA. And many of these promoters would have their regional territories, and they were real popular. But there were promoters who usually ran against the major promotions during regional territories, the AWA, NWA, and WWF. These were usually promoters who used to work for those companies or a company that was affiliated with them, but due to a disagreement on a payoff or how the character was, they just decided to break off from that territory system and run opposition against them in their markets. And they would bring some of the wrestlers with them who work with them. But the problem was, if any of these wrestlers would go to an outlaw promotion during this time period from the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and early 80s, they run the risk of basically being blackballed by the other wrestling promoters in the territory system. And that would not be good, because if most of these outlaw promotions did not even survive, and once they were out of business, then they had a bad reputation. Some of the promoters that were affiliated with the AWA, NWA, or WWF would not bring back these wrestlers. Some of them were brought back, but they were punished. Some of the the major outlaw promotions during the regional territories of the 60s, 70s, and early 80s were the IWA, which was promoted by Pedro Martinez, but he was not the baseball pitcher. And the IWA actually had television. They had a television contract with WOR Channel 9 in New York back in the 70s, and the champion was Mil Mascaras, and they had a decent roster, including the Russian Bear Ivan Koloff and Ernie Ladd, among others. But that, the IWA was actually owned by Eddie Eichhorn as well, and he got them into some syndicated markets, but the IWA only lasted maybe 3 years. But when that folded, Mil Mascara's Ernie Ladd and Ivan Koloff wrestled back for the other territories. Another outlaw wrestling promotion was the ICW, that was based out of like Eastern Tennessee and Kentucky, which was ran by Angelo Poffo. In this, they had like a 4-year run, 1980 through 1984, and the ICW was actually, the big stars were Angelo Poffo's sons, which were Randy Macho Man Savage and Leaping Lanny Poffo, also known as a Genius, and they had a good crew, including Ronnie Garvin, Cowboy Bob Orton, a rookie one-man gang, and a few others. And they actually had some decent television. They had a big promotional feud with the CWA, which was based out of Memphis, with Jerry Lawler and Bill Dundee and and Jerry Jarrett, among others. Eventually, when ICW folded in like 1984, Jerry Lawler and Jerry Jarrett brought in like Poffo and his sons, and also Ronnie Garvin and Cowboy Bob Orton went back to the territories. And there were others that were, in small outlaw promotions in the ran opposition of the other territories. They weren't too big as well. Some people would consider Mid-South Wrestling an outlaw territory run by Cowboy Bill Rocks, but they kind of had a loosely affiliated association with the NWA. Even though they weren't the NWA member, they would bring Nature Boy Ric Flair in from time to time, and all the wrestlers in that territory would bounce around through the other territories, so they weren't really kind of per se an outlaw promotion. Also, there were 2 promotions in Texas, Southwest Championship Wrestling and Texas All-Star Wrestling back in the early 1980s, that were kind of like outlaw promotions. Southwest Championship Wrestling actually had a contract with the USA Network, but Southwest Championship Wrestling would always get dates with Nick Bockwinkel as AWA World Champion, so they weren't, they were kind of a quasi outlaw promotion, but a lot of those wrestlers who went in and out of Southwest Championship Wrestling would still wrestle in the territories. And there were a few outlaw promotions in the South, like Continental Championship Wrestling would be kind of like an outlaw promotion in the mid-1980s, but they got some dates with the NWA World Champion Ric Flair when they first got started. Probably one of the last outlaw wrestling promotions before the territory system died was Wild Wild West Wrestling, which opened up in the summer of 1987 to face off against World Class Championship Wrestling in Dallas, because one of the bookers, Ken Mantell, went over to Wild Wild West Wrestling, and he brought most of the crew with him, which including the Missing Link, Wild Bill Irwin, the Angel of Death, Buddy Roberts, and Terry Bam Bam Gordy, and Iceman King Parsons, and some others. They even brought Bill Mercer, the wrestling announcer from World Class Championship Wrestling. But Wild Wild West Wrestling only lasted 7 months until they folded, and most of the wrestlers in Wild Wild West Wrestling returned to World Class Championship Wrestling. By the late 80s, and the outlaw wrestling promotions were gone because all of the territories were folding up, and the only major ones were the WWE and WCW. And this is when wrestling changed with the outlaw promotions. The outlaw promotions were kind of converted to indie wrestling promotions. Usually the indie wrestling promotions were in cities across the United States. They would go to smaller towns, like in high school gyms or bingo halls or convention centers. And usually on an indie card, they would have like many local talent, rookies, and they would probably have a few big-time stars on there who were basically on the downside of their career, or they could not find work for WWE or WCW. Sometimes the indie wrestlers only make $25 to $50 a night, which is serious. Which is, not that good. And sometimes when they got some big names who were out of WWE or WCW, they would try to pay them thousands of dollars a night, but sometimes they would no-show, and that would not be good for the fans if they no-showed. And sometimes indie promotions were pretty good. They had some wrestlers who worked their asses off, and it was others that were trying to hang on to their career. Some of the indie wrestling promotions in the 2000s would get TV or even internet coverage, and some of the big ones are Big Time Wrestling and the ECWA, East Coast Wrestling Association, and there's other ones in the United States that are pretty big. And indie wrestling is awesome, and there's a lot of big ones in New England that drop pretty good, like the New England Championship Wrestling that's been around so many years. And indie wrestling is like you could see the future stars who probably go to WWE, Ring of Honor, and TNA, because indie wrestling is where they groom most of the wrestlers to become big-time stars instead of NXT as well. And that's about it on indie wrestling promotions and outlaw wrestling promotions. I'll be back with the third and final video blog of the night, which will be about Pro Basketball Hall of Fame coach, the winningest coach in NBA history, Don Nelson, who also spent the majority of his NBA career with the Boston Celtics. Keep calm, everybody. And I'm a Julie Brennan guy. Molly Roseblood of WCCO rocks and has nice legs. Elizabeth Hutt, so stunning. She's the best. She's my favorite second cute leggy blonde in Orlando, Florida, next to Julie Broughton. Amy Squeezy rocks, and she's so awesome. Linda Church of WPIX Channel 11 in New York has the best legs of any TV weather lady in New York City. Bob Gibbs of ABC 11 has that sweet southern accent. And in the words of Dickie Ackroyd Jr., director of the Boys and Girls Club of Great America, the more the merrier. See you later.